Lesson 9. In the Psalms, Part 2. Memory text: Let the peoples praise you, O God, let all the peoples praise you. O let the nations be glad, and sing for joy. For you shall judge the people righteously, and govern the nations on earth. Selah. Psalm 67, verses 3 and 4. When we think about the end times, we often focus on the beasts and powers in Revelation. They are important, or God wouldn't have included them. But prophecy also covers big topics like sin, suffering, judgment, good versus evil, justice, and persecution. The Book of Psalms also explores these issues deeply. It expresses every human emotion, from sadness to joy. It shows Israel facing dark forces, and people asking why God doesn't deal with evil right away. Questions we still ask today. Psalms points us to the sanctuary, and reminds us of God as Creator. That's why we'll keep studying Psalms, to better understand these important truths.
A very present help, in the time of trouble. Psalm 46 offers a strong message of hope and assurance. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. It reminds us that even when the world seems to fall apart, whether through natural disasters, war, or spiritual conflict, God remains with His people. He is unshakable, and His presence brings peace in the midst of chaos. As we face the turmoil of life now, and the greater trials still to come in earth's final days, Psalm 46 calls us to trust that God is in control, and that His purposes will stand. This ties directly into Revelation 6 verse 4, where peace is taken from the earth and conflict increases. It shows that the time of the end will be marked by instability and violence. Yet in contrast, Psalm 46 assures us that God's people can still find peace in Him, even when the world is in turmoil. 2 Peter 3 verse 12 speaks of the coming day of God, with fiery judgment, but also encourages us to live holy lives as we wait. Psalm 46 supports this by reminding us to be still and know that God is sovereign. He will be exalted in the end. The core message is clear: God is present, powerful, and victorious. In Him, we find strength, peace, and hope, no matter what comes.
Hope amid turmoil. While Psalms often uses symbolic language, Psalm 46 points to real, physical changes at Christ's return. Not only will the earth be shaken, but human governments and all their suffering will come to a complete end. Jeremiah 4 verses 23 to 26 describes a vision of the earth in chaos and ruin, similar to the formless void before creation. It shows the devastating consequences of sin and judgment, pointing to a world that will face destruction before being renewed. This foreshadows the need for the new heaven and new earth, in Revelation 21 verse 1, where God restores creation. Bible prophecy, like Daniel 7, reveals that worldly kingdoms arise through conflict and strife, but consistently fail to solve humanity's deepest problems. These leaders often prove just as flawed and selfish as the people they govern. The kingdoms shown to Daniel offered no lasting security for God's people, but believers belong to God's unshakable kingdom. As the world grows more chaotic before Christ's return, we can remain faithful, trusting that God is still in control, and will keep his promises. In the short term, things may get worse, but thanks to Jesus, the future is full of hope. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved, he uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our refuge. Psalms 46, verses 6 and 7.
Under his feet. Psalm 47 verses 1 to 4, shows that ultimately, we have a place of joy and victory in Christ's kingdom. God reigns over all nations, and as his people, we are chosen and uplifted to share in his inheritance, and rule under his sovereign authority. The future is bright, but for now, humanity has surrendered the earth to Lucifer, who walks it, and claimed it as his. God responded by promising the land to Abraham, instructing him to walk through it. In antiquity, the foot, or walking, symbolized ownership. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 13 to 17, describes Christ meeting believers in the air, while Zechariah 14 verse 4, depicts his feet standing on the Mount of Olives. The difference shows two aspects of Christ's return, first to gather his people, then to physically reign on earth, highlighting both his heavenly authority and earthly sovereignty.
Wine and blood. Psalm 75 reveals that God's judgment is just, and that he humbles the proud while exalting the righteous. Matthew 26 verses 26 to 29 highlights the covenant through Christ's sacrifice, offering salvation to believers. Revelation 14 verses 9 to 12 warns of judgment for those who worship the beast, emphasizing the importance of loyalty to God. Together, these texts show that the judgment involves divine justice, the choice between allegiance to God or evil, and the eternal consequences of that choice. Some believe Psalm 75 was sung after the miraculous defeat of Sennacherib's army, which foreshadows the final destruction of the wicked, in Revelation 20. In both cases, God's people are safe within the holy city, with their righteous king as evil forces surround them, only to be destroyed by God himself. In the judgment, God sets right the misuse of power that has marked our fallen world, where people live for self, rather than for others or God's glory. As a result of rejecting meaning and objective moral standards, many now act as though they are their own gods, leading to widespread moral confusion and brokenness. No matter how troubling the world becomes, believers are called to live with hope, and not judge the future by present circumstances. It can be disheartening to witness society drifting from biblical values, with even fundamental truths like gender being challenged in some places. Behaviors once considered shameful are now celebrated openly, reflecting how far moral standards have declined.
That your salvation may be known. Psalm 67 highlights God's desire to bless his people, so that his ways and salvation are known throughout the earth. This connects to Revelation 14 verses 6 to 12, where God's people are called to proclaim the eternal gospel to every nation. The hymn shows that God's blessings are not just for his people's benefit, but so they can be a light to the world, sharing his truth, calling for worship of the Creator, and warning against false worship. Would you want to be invisible? Go anywhere without being seen? Some people and scientists think this would be useful, as well as entertaining. For Christians, we are commanded to be the opposite. With God shining his light on us, we are to reflect his brightness, and be a light to the world. Sometimes we act as if God's end-time movement is an exclusive space, reserved for the spiritually elite, while the rest of the world remains unprepared and overlooked. However, the remnant church in Revelation 14 is not satisfied with simply enjoying God's presence for themselves. Instead, they actively take the message to the world. Their mission is to invite everyone to join them on God's holy mountain. Psalm 67 verse 1. God be merciful to us and bless us, and cause his face to shine upon us, Selah. That your way may be known on earth, your salvation among all nations.
Thank you for studying with us. We hope you give this video a like, and please subscribe. And always, keep the faith of Jesus.